Welcome everybody to the MiniMapCast. This is minimap.com.au's weekly games podcast, your favorite weekly games podcast. My name is Kerry Palmer, and joining me as always is Jeremy Bratatich.
I need to do a sorry.
Okay, so you wrote this down in the document. It's a very
just hi Kerry.
Hey Jeremy, what's up, man?
Nothing much. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. My curiosity is piqued though.
Yeah.
What's wrong, Jeremy? What did you do?
And I'm gonna say this, and you're gonna jump to a conclusion, and I'm gonna then immediately wind you back. All right.
I look forward to it.
I'm going to say a sorry to the Marvel Avengers game. And I'm gonna then immediately wind you back by saying I know I haven't actually started to play it again.
I almost installed it.
Yeah, and probably for the same reason I'm gonna do a sorry. And it's not much of a sorry. It's more of a like, hey, this you did this right, no matter the circumstances. Which was they have begun to wind back and remove their live service elements from the game, but.
Yeah.
What that means actually is that they have actually made every skin available to you in the game.
I think their Twitter post is most skins. I think it's most.
Okay, all right, most.
Which is still great because they've got fucking dozens of amazing different cosmetics in their store.
There are hundreds of these skins. I was browsing Twitter and Gene Park from Washington Post said, "So lol, now is the best time to play Avengers game. Every skin they've ever made is automatically installed onto your game, as well as all the finishing animations and nameplates."
Yep. Plus, there's more characters than there's ever been. The most content than there's ever been.
So he then goes on to say, and it's not like Destiny where you can't catch up on story since they barely added anything, which is very funny.
And also, they're never going to add anything else.
Yep. He also goes on as well to say, why did they only decide to push the Make It Fun update now and not from the start? Which is like, yeah. But also like, yeah, look, I will frequently shit on this game. I have since before it came out, and probably will until it dies. So I need
what do you mean until?
I will until it dies. So I will do my due diligence and say, and call out a good thing that it's done, being this. Good on you for making all of the skins free.
Well done. That's ethics in games journalism right there.
Yep. I had someone at a bar bring that up to me completely unironically the other day.
Apropos of nothing.
Well, I mean, apropos of me saying I do this, and they're like, oh. And I was like, and there was immediate we look at each other like, what side are you on? It's like, okay, no, we're both good, we're both all right, we go, all right.
Yeah, you immediately suss each other out.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. Yeah, I did see that tweet that was like, oh yeah, we're making everything almost free, and I was like, oh, there's a lot of good shit in that store. And I almost installed it, but I promptly forgot about it. Also, I'm running out of space on my PS5 hard drive, and I looked at it today. I've got 100 gigabytes of saved storage, saved media, screenshots and
captures,
and video.
Yeah.
And so what I did today, and I got overwhelmed, I didn't follow through on this. I was like, I'll just delete all my trophy ones, maybe go through, keep a select few. I went to the trophies tab of the media gallery. I hit select multiple items, hit select all, and it was like, please wait. And then it said 2,147 items selected, and I was like, oh man, I'm just trying to eat my lunch.
Just do it. Just do it.
You're right, I should, because it's not.
They're not good content. They've got a giant fucking banner on the bottom of it.
Very occasionally, I think to myself, the developers put the trophy get moment at a really good point in the end cutscene that is worthwhile. And I'm like, nice one, developers. And I was like, maybe I want to keep one or two of those.
What do you need that for? You have YouTube.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Nothing, right? I mean, yeah, it's sad. It's sad.
I-
And
I
I'm
turned
definitely
off-
going to turn it off.
Yeah, I turned off the auto capture because like I was like, I don't need
Yeah.
this.
The other thing is I want to go through all my video capture and cut off the front end, because normally you'll get like, I'll get the last 5 minutes because it was sometime in the last 5 minutes, but normally you get a bunch of faff that you don't need. So what I want to do is like cut off the front of a lot of those videos.
Yeah, the only captures I want to keep on my PlayStation are the ones that I took in the Spider-Man game when I had the glitch where I was turning into various different objects.
Yeah.
Because that was funny, and I've got those though.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, I should really just offload them, stick them on a hard drive.
You don't need to keep them.
I mean, yeah, it's like photos, right? Like, I like going through my PS4 captures and seeing all of the screenshots I took on Venus in Destiny 1 when I first played that game. You know, like...
It's a rare commodity now to put the photos of Venus.
Well, yeah, you can't go there.
Exactly.
Well, you can in Destiny 1.
Yeah.
Let's crack on with the show, Jeremy. If you're new to us and to Minimap, welcome. This is minimap.com.au's weekly games podcast. We're going to talk about video games. Specifically, for this week, we're going to be talking about the death of E3. Big news for the week. The Minimap cast goes live on all podcast platforms every Wednesday with 24 hours of early access given to all of our wonderful patrons. More on that in a bit. If you like what you're hearing, make sure to tell your friends and give the show a positive rating wherever you're listening to us. It makes a huge difference. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it helps us out a lot. If you want to get notified every time a new episode is released, make sure to follow us on social media. We are the account for Minimap is at MiniMapAU on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and also Twitch, where we are live every Monday night, 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, I think, for the live recording of the Minimap cast. Jeremy, what's wrong?
I have Twitter on one of my other monitors, Kerry, and while you are reading, I will occasionally go and scroll to see if anything comes through while we are talking. So there's not any breaking news or anything, but I have seen a stream that exists, which might be immediately advertising a competitor to us for us right now, but I think it is important to share that someone has installed...
Send our viewers away.
Yeah. Someone has installed OBS on a Walmart demo computer in the middle of their shopping center, and it has been live for over 12 hours.
Oh, they installed it and started streaming.
Yeah. Someone installed OBS and just hit stream, and so there's just a random computer at a random Walmart in the middle of America streaming the webcam, streaming just into the store. Oh
my God, that is such a security risk.
It is so funny. That is so fucking funny.
It's probably good content, actually.
It's like, there are 800 people watching right now.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's what distracted me from you doing the intro.
You know what? Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Everyone, if you want to go on the hunt to find the Walmart computer, I don't blame you. Maybe bring us along with you.
Yeah.
On whatever podcast platform of your choice.
I'll bring it up in the post show so we can all watch it together. How about that?
There we go. There we go, chatters. If you're worried about missing out, we'll be there with you at Walmart in a couple of hours.
Exactly.
So yeah, on Twitch we are live every 6:30 p.m. Monday night, Australian Eastern Standard Time. We always hang out with the chat before and after and during the live recording of the Minimap cast. We'd love to see you there. You can come hang out with us while we watch Walmart. We also wanted to say thank you to Shook for letting us use the Moog Model D Improv as the music for the Minimap cast. You can listen to more of Shook's music at shook.bandcamp.com. And finally, Minimap is completely independent and funded almost entirely out of our own pockets. To help keep I almost messed it up again. The mics and lights on, you can support us by becoming one of our patrons. For only $5 a month, you get 24 hours of early access for all episodes of the Minimap cast, as well as some extra bonus features we're planning on getting ready for you over there, and more. Head on over to patreon.com/minimapau to help us out. And remember, it's cheaper than a latte with oat milk. Jeremy.
Kerry.
It is with a slightly heavier heart than normal that I regret to inform you and all of our listeners here today that E3 is once again no more.
Once again.
For the second time in a row, E3 is dead. the second year in a row. I definitely feel like this last week I watched the games industry have the same discussion we had 12 months ago when they announced that they wouldn't have a showing in 2022.
I think the thing is last year that they did immediately say we will be back next year.
That is the difference, isn't it? And they said they will be back and have since had to say, oh, we are cancelled.
Yep. And this year they have not said we will be back next year.
Yes. That's the way it is, isn't it? And it's funny because there was a growing number of rumors and like and a sentiment of unease from developers happening in the industry over the last couple of weeks of Ubisoft saying we'll be at E3 if it's running, and we're all like, wait, what?
Yeah.
No one said anything about E3 not running. What are you talking about?
Yeah, there was a lot of like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We'll come and celebrate with like when everyone else is celebrating, it's such non-commitment to
I remember,
for this conference.
I remember Kat Bailey did an interview with Phil Spencer shortly after the developer direct in January or in February, and she asked him if what Microsoft's commitment to E3 was, and Phil was like, "Oh, we love E3. We're on the board for the ESA." So, we're really invested in what ESA does. As of now, we can't confirm any plans because we're not sure what's going on there. But we know that us at Microsoft will be at the Microsoft Theater and blah, 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 blah. Didn't commit to being at E3 at all.
No.
And then weeks later, committed to, in fact, not being at E3.
That motherfucker said media training.
Oh, he was good.
Oh,
he's good at it.
He's been like that for a long time. He's always, like, I remember years ago, the first year that Sony was not at E3, but Microsoft still was.
Yep.
Spencer was there. Like, was out there going like, "We love E3. We still believe in E3. We still believe in the importance of E3." This was pre-COVID. But like, he was out there, spruiking his party's line, which was their current commitment to that show at that point, in that form, in that capacity.
Yeah, because they paid a bunch of money to be there, and they wanted people to come and make it a success.
Yeah, and they were rightfully so. Like, hey, like our biggest rivals are not here right now, so we are going to take up the whole space.
Yeah, unique opportunity.
Yeah,
it's funny. So we're going to go over a few sort of different parts of this. Sort of starting with the sort of subtopic of why did E3 die? Why did this happen this year? And you're right, Jeremy, this is different to last year. While it does feel quite similar to me in the fact, like, when I heard everyone was like, oh, it's dead. E3's dead. I was like, we literally said, like that whole Jeff Grubb sitting by the side of the grave of E3, that was literally happening 12 months ago. Like, we did this already. Yeah. But you're right, this is different because they didn't in the same breath commit to coming back. We are one more year further into the pandemic where things are more adjusted. In terms of the industry events, there's just been PAX and GDC in the States. Those were massive conferences that went ahead. They were successes. I mean, people got COVID, but in terms of the conferences, they were successes. So like if it was going to happen, it would have be able to happen this year.
Yeah, and the other thing is in between now and last E3 being cancelled, the ESA partnered with ReedPop, the makers of the now current runners of PAX.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna hand it over to these people. They've been doing conventions for years now.
Yeah, multiple conventions a year, every year,
gaming conventions every year that are huge successes, basically every time, for the stakeholders and customers. We'll let them do it. Makes complete sense, and also, in my mind, and I think a lot of people's minds, the best horse to try and land it, right? The best people that you could think of to try and get this to work
Yeah.
To translate what used to be this trade show into a consumer friendly show where people can come and play games. It is run well, it is run tight, it is still exciting, still important. And they couldn't do it.
Still makes the ESA a whole lot of money.
Sure. Yeah. And like they clearly tried. Guy Blomberg, who you might know as Yug, who's been around forever and ever and ever. He was like working with a lot of this stuff at the time. I'm not sure if he's with ReadPop anymore, but he was at least a part of this whole thing. He retweeted like the E3 2023 cancellation, saying, "I'm sorry, we genuinely tried."
Wow.
Which was like, look,
man.
There was also some stuff that he was sort of dealing with post GDC that isn't so great. So I'm assuming he's also hoping to get a little bit of sympathy and stuff. But like there was a lot of that stuff was like no one, like, you know, all the people in all of these industries, for the most part, they really enjoy games. They have a lot of fond memories of all of these gaming conventions and stuff. E3 is a big part of, I think, a lot of people in games media's like history and stuff. So
especially the people who are in the industry now, right?
Yeah.
Like the people who are in the industry now are the people who grew up watching G4 and watching E3 press conferences as they started becoming more and more readily available to the public as streaming became a thing.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like, you know, why did it die? I think because we still don't really know what the point of E3 is.
Well, yeah, it slowly shifted in like tone and focus, right?
Yeah, it moved away from being a trade show. It has not been a trade show for quite a long time, and it moved into, being a vehicle for advertisements. Speaking of the Summer Game Fest, right? Like E3 doesn't need to exist as E3 when you have a thing called Summer Games Fest, which is the only thing the big players really cared about.
Yeah, which is getting your games out to a huge audience who are all there and all excited, and it feeds into this massive spring, this massive like absolute rush of media attention and hype.
This ridiculous, stupid event, this dumb idea that we continued this for as long as we did. You know, like I frequently think about E3 as like as a dumb thing. Like I love it, but it is dumb, Kerry. There is no oxygen in that week, right? You've got Sony, well, like it used to be Sony, Microsoft, Ubisoft, EA, Nintendo, Square Enix, and a couple of the others. Yeah, Konami used to do it.
Ubisoft.
Yeah, I said Ubisoft. PC Gaming were there as well. And, you know, Devolver was there. Bethesda started before they got bought by Microsoft. There were so many huge players all trying to compete for inches. We would forget announcements minutes after they happened because another announcement came from the same people.
Yep.
You know, Insomniac were there announcing more than one game sometimes.
I know.
Right? These are dumb. It's a dumb week, and it was so fun. Of course they're going to start spreading it out. That's why Sony left. That's why EA went a month later or a month in advance. That's why Microsoft bumped their thing to like 4 days before. Nintendo would do it.
Sony just skipped last year.
Yeah, Sony just didn't even do it. They did something like, I think, 2 months prior and 2 months later. Nintendo do whatever they want. And so they're always there just sort of like are now allowing their games to really have an entire press cycle about it, because why the fuck would they not want that?
Yeah.
It makes complete sense. And it also means that, you know, it used to be about like, I'm going to go because I am a manager of a GameStop and I need to know how many units of this game I should buy, or how many new peripherals that all of these like Rocket
Bloody
Cat.
Thundercats. Yeah.
Thundercat or Rocket Cat? I thought it was Rocket Cat. I think Thundercat's a musician.
Oh yeah, what the hell am I thinking of? What's the Thunder gaming peripheral?
I don't know. They all sound the same. They used to be there.
Thunder gaming controller.
They would talk about sales numbers and all this stuff, and we have webinars now. We have earnings calls. We have emails. We have video calls. In the past 3 years, we have intense video call software available on the smallest of machines. I'm still doing previews, not in person, because I did a preview, a few months ago for that Tray Racers game. They were all from England. If everything was still in person 100% all the time, I wouldn't have been there for that preview. They wouldn't have wanted me for their preview. Like, what are they going to fly me out? No, they're a small team. We're past that.
Yeah, for sure. And it kind of lends itself to that question of like, when media creation has become so cheap and accessible, why would companies spend so much money and so much of their time both creating vertical slices for proper E3 demos so that they're worthy enough to go up on Sony's conference stage or whatever?
Yeah.
But also spend the money for the ESA, which by all accounts is astronomical, when they can just make the demos they want to make in whatever format they want to, that works with the development team, hopefully, on their own time, with their own team, with their own money. They don't have to. All it is you're right. It's just ads in the way they want to do it. There's so much less incentive for other people to go to an outside organization like the ESA to present their work for them, when they can just do it themselves. And I guess it isn't surprising, as E3 slowly became less about the business side of things, less about the trade, and more about the consumers and more about the public reception as things became more public, that eventually it would become, well, what is in it for the business people? Okay, you get marketing, you get a push of excitement. Okay, well, what if we just all do our own thing at the same time and we'll get the same effect? All eyes will be on IGN. IGN will have the news posts and we'll find out everything that happened at EA Play instead of everything EA showed at the Microsoft press conference, plus everything that Microsoft showed. Like, and it all makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense for E3 specifically, because E3 was had all of this baggage. They were still doing Judges Week up until the last in-person E3 back in 2019. I don't remember if they did Judges Week for 2020's online only one, because it was... I
don't think they do. I don't think they did. But remember, Keeley's doing effectively the same thing. Summer Games Fest Days of Play or something like that.
Yeah, which is going to be the replacement for all this stuff, right? Because there are reasons to have an in-person conference. That is why PAX has not gone away and is still going.
Or GDC.
Yeah. Well, yeah, GDC is a developer thing, but it's specifically games showing convention, because while it is about selling merchandise and trying to get your advertisements out in front of as many people as possible and stuff, it's also they're also culture conventions at the same time, game play is still an extremely social thing. That is why people will always cry whenever, big studios or big games remove couch co-op from later iterations, right? Because they want to play with people, Doing it online will never replace that. There is something about a shared space and a shared conversation that an in-person convention will never not be able to be. There's something about a place in convention that will never be replaced by an online social space, no matter what the blockchain, Web3, metaverse freaks say. No matter what they say, it will never be replaced. which works in PAX's favor, even though they don't advertise that as much. But when you hang out in the indie areas, like for a couple hours, like you get that feeling, and it always like, PAX's tagline is "Welcome Home," which is a bit nonsense, but like what it does is it reminds you that there is this feeling and this vibe that exists amongst everybody that is there, which is not a thing that you get from it being a completely online show.
And the world was forced to see what that was like in 2020 and 2021, and in some part 2022 as well.
Yeah.
People had to give it a go, or fall away.
Of course,
and that was what happened. And we're coming back to conferences. It's fascinating to see it work for some and not for others.
Yeah, people are social beings. We like people. Like that's just how that works, right? And one of the things that I'm most upset about, not even about the E3 thing, but I think this is a bit more tangential, but like Nintendo's been doing their directs for quite a long time now.
Well, they were the first to do it. One of the first trailblazing things they've done in a long time.
Yeah.
In terms of like presentations and online presence.
Yeah. I don't like them.
You don't like Nintendo Directs?
Not compared to their stage presence at E3s.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like, it's more directed. It's a bit more sterile. They're in like front of a white, and like of course it's a production. Like that's what they're doing. But Miyamoto bringing out the Master Sword and the Hylian shield.
Yeah.
And then doing that as Twilight Princess, I think it was Twilight Princess.
It was Twilight Princess.
Was announced. Like, I didn't even watch that live, but that's like burned into my memory as a thing that happened.
Totally. Or even after they had started their directs, even when Miyamoto rocked up at the Ubisoft conference for Mario and Rabbids
with a gun, when he took a gun. When he pointed a gun at Eve, no,
it wasn't a Glock.
Imagine if it was a Glock. Yeah, like that was like a moment, right? And you also see it work real time the other way around. I remember when the Switch was announced and we saw those people hanging out playing the Switch on the rooftop and in different places and playing a handheld and playing it on the desk with the two things, right? I didn't believe it. I didn't look at that and go, oh, that's going to be the best handheld console we've seen in quite a long time. Like, I didn't believe it based on that. And it was because it was entirely an advertisement. But if they had announced that at a convention that people could immediately get hands on and say, no, this shit is fucking real, then I might have immediately went, okay, maybe I should pop down a pre-order for this.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that like this is directly related to that, but it's a feeling of describing how important in-person things are,
and hearing people's impressions from people who
were there,
paid by the company.
Yes, yeah, but who are there and who get real world real world examples of what it's like. Yeah, experience, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's funny. I think E3's biggest problem is just how old it is. Yeah. And it's such a product of the 90s. It's such a product of spinning off from an older convention that has become its own thing.
And you can understand their reluctance to change, right? Like those can, like, E3 moments. There is never going to be a Summer Game Fest moment that is nearly as exciting as a really exciting E3 moment. They just don't have it.
No, and they're also not trying to, though, because they're trying something different. It's not about getting all the industry in the same place and all of the pundits in the same place to report on it at the same time. It's just about getting the announcements in one stream. It's about the live stream. Yeah,
but I think even like, them and like, even if it's like, say they're like E3 and Summer Games Fest are announcing the exact same thing, the way they announce those exact same things are different, and you, like, if they announce Kingdom Hearts 3 was a really huge announcement when it was first announced at E3. I was blowing the fuck up, right? And it was the combination of it already being that week, me sitting through 40 minutes of a Sony presser at that point, me not knowing what's coming next, me knowing that there's still announcements after this, all of that stuff. The vibe of the week, understanding that there's how much news is like being generated and how much energy and excitement is coming out of this one week. Summer Games Fest comes along. They announced Kingdom Hearts 3 at Summer Games Fest. It's more sterile. It is more advertiser friendly. It is more publisher friendly. There is less instant like reaction to this, not in terms of social reaction, but in terms of collective, a collective feeling, right?
Yeah. Because Summer Games Fest is one conference, and it's 1 2-hour conference that they're trying to keep people's attention for, it is denser. It's not this publisher has 2 hours, and then also this publisher has 2 hours later tomorrow, and then this publisher has another 2 hours the next day, like 10 hours of conference. It's so dense that you're right. There's no room to breathe in there, even less than normal.
And think of it this way as well. Remember, like when Xbox One was first brought to E3 and they announced all their online stuff, and it was like a giant shit show. And Don Matrick is out here saying, if you want an offline console, we've got the Xbox 360. Those moments, that instant rejection of all of those ideas, they don't happen at Summer Game Fest.
No, they don't. Especially because Summer Games Fest doesn't have the chaser of Sony's conference happening. It was literally the same day, wasn't it? Like just hours later.
Yeah.
With points that directly conflicted with what Xbox was saying.
Yeah.
And that directly combated the negativity.
They don't have that Adam Boy's Shuhei Yoshida video of him passing because Summer Game Fest is going to have like We Are Locked, and Summer Game Fest is also going to have we are not including this. Xbox are a part of the first half of this convention of our showcase. We are not putting in a part of our our showcase. You immediately being combative against them, right?
Yeah, totally.
There is no competition anymore. It is a weirdly homogenized version of the worst parts of E3.
Worst parts?
Yes, the worst parts of E3 being soulless announcements, being truncated into a single conference. I hate it. And I didn't realize how much I hate it till I started talking. I didn't plan. So for those who don't know, we have a show document for every episode we do, and we write down a bunch of topics of stuff that we want to get to. I didn't include any of this.
No, this is still the first subtopic.
This is come from the heart.
Now, Jeremy, my knee-jerk response to you saying that is you hate many things.
I do hate many things. But there are things that are bad that I like, and there are things that I hate that are not as bad, but I actually think that they're worse. I'll let you sit in that one.
Value in it, though. I still enjoy watching Summer Games Fest or Opening Night Live or the Game Awards. I think they have merit still. It is very different to E3 in a lot of ways, while also serving a similar function.
I still enjoy watching it for the spectacle, but I also think that it is just an overall worse thing. I think it's a worse thing for the industry. And I'm not saying that the industry is worse off without E3 and the ESA running their show. But I'm saying that this is not a good alternative. This is not hey, we did it. We killed old games, right? This is there is less room for critique in a lot of this stuff. And there is less space for rejection of bad ideas in a lot of this
because
stuff.
It's Summer Game Fest. I'm not sure why you're saying Summer Game Fest is that way. Because
Summer Game Fest is broad at is they've got an eye into all of what is happening. Everything is channeling directly into this one single show. There is not going to be any direct competition with each other. And there
Okay.
is also not going to be any there is not going to be any space of like, this is a smaller thing. This is maybe a thing that might have accidentally become a little gem that we realized. And it is far more directly marketed in favor, and like it was happening anyway, but when everybody was going at once, there was a little bit more Wild West feel of like, well, what's going to be their reaction? Who's going to go first is very important.
Yeah, what's Sony going to say after this?
There was a level of rivalry in a as far as
consumerism sense.
well, yeah, like as far as the corporation rivalry exists, but like there was also a level of it felt a bit. It weirdly had a level of a more even playing field, I think, than this, which is going to be directly directed by one man.
Who wants as many things as he can get and will do whatever he can to get all of it.
His Thanos glove is getting fuller and fuller as the years go by, and more games media properties and events become disappeared.
That's yeah. It's a good point. I think because we've kind of stumbled into this topic. Jeremy, what do you think Summer Game Fest looks like this June compared to what it would have looked like if E3 went ahead? Do you think much changes for them?
I think actually things do change. I
agree.
I think we will just see less in this time period now, which is fine. I think that's not a negative thing. That is just
I think we're already tending that way as well. Like EA didn't do anything last year, and it was like, oh, that's weird, but it's not E3, so it's okay. It's just them deciding, actually, no, we don't have anything for you right now. Sorry. See you in a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think we will see overall less. I think that there will be, once again, less focus on people who are actually making the games.
That's true. You don't really get that with a Keighley show. As
the way of the Keighley shows is you will not see someone on stage who will demo the game, talk about why they made it, and maybe pour their heart out just a little bit.
Yeah.
We will not get that man crying at the Mario Rabbids reveal.
Yeah. Or at EA for Unravel.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. What does it look like? Look, it looks like what it always looks like, which is people doing events and Jeff Keighley saying, "Hey, this Nintendo Direct is a part of the Summer Games Fest," and Shigeru Miyamoto going like, "Jeff who?" like whatever, like I don't care. That's facetious. I'm sure he knows who Jeff Keighley is, but also like Nintendo's plans are not dependent on
Jeff. They do their Direct or they don't.
Yeah. It'll look largely, I think, what it will look like last year. Hopefully with less The Rock shilling the Black Panther and Zoa energy drink.
Yeah. Honestly,
Black Adam, sorry, and Zoa energy drink.
And just weightlifting in general. Man, that was a mess.
Fuck, that was funny.
So bad. It was awful.
That was the most old E3 thing that was at that show.
Yeah. But it was also so Keighley.
It was, yeah.
I think for me, I do think we will be looking at a longer Summer Games Fest kickoff or whatever they call it. His presentation. I think it'll be 15 to 30 minutes longer, or potentially like maybe 15 minutes longer in the show, 15 minutes more in the pre-show kind of a thing. I do think there will be people who had put their faith in E3 or had been like, oh, it's coming back. This is our moment. Maybe some smaller studios have got something cool to show that will channel some of that into Summer Game Fest. And Jeff wants that. Jeff will happily take anyone who he thinks is worth showing, who is there like, hey, we were going to be there and now we need somewhere to put this money and this focus and this drive that we were putting all of this, like our last 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 months into. Can you help us? And he'll be like, hey, have I got the show for you? But yeah, you're right. There are some downsides to Summer Game Fest. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I don't think this is the year where we get where Summer Game Fest rules the conversation, where it doesn't just happen and then it's over and then everyone else keeps doing their own thing. Like I don't think I don't think the world is going to stop for Summer Game Fest.
No, it doesn't have the name recognition, and it doesn't have, I think, that level of excitement of one giant fucking crowd losing their mind over Cloud showing up for the first time in 20 years.
Totally.
And I'm not saying that they need that, because that's largely just like, paid hype. But it also creates a good moment.
Yeah.
Which is fun. The other thing is, like, I've got this weird thing in my brain that, like, at some point,
brainworms.
Yeah, I've got brainworms that Jeff Keighley is going to buy E3 as a property from the ESA within the next couple of years.
Oh.
Yeah, I've got Funhouse buying Inside Gaming years after that, after they move to a different parent. Like, I've got that in my head of a thing that will happen. And I have no information about that. I have no idea if Jeff wants that.
No, it's like an inkling.
Yeah. Because I have an image in my brain of them back at the Los Angeles Convention Center. Jeff is on stage with a microphone with his big happy smile, and he's looking at the camera and he says the words "E3 is back." And it is because he paid for it.
Yeah. You do see that in, so one of the reasons why we've got a question here about Summer Game Fest, I mean, it's very relevant to the conversation, but also because when the ESA and ReedPop announced earlier last week that they weren't going to be running E3 2023 like they had said they would, Jeff was there on Twitter with press releases. He was savage this week. Absolutely fucking, like, just completely unrestrained in this very passive-aggressive, kicking them while they're down kind of a mentality, Like, this tweet about how, he went to his first E3 when he was 15, and it's why he's why he cares about the industry. But 4 years ago, he disagreed with them, and this year, Summer Game Fest is going to be better than ever. And then what was the one he sent to press? It was like, Summer Games Fest is not cancelled.
Yeah, not cancelled. Yeah.
And it's like, holy shit, you just like choking them. They're dead already. Just leave them alone. You won.
And like, look, there was obviously something that happened between him and E3. And he
was working with them before 2019.
And and it wasn't even directly for them. It was like through YouTube.
Like YouTube.
Yeah, it was YouTube Gaming was the ones that were hosting the daily shows with the official E3 banner. And it also, it means they got every interview, and it means they got every developer and all that stuff, right? And it was like, it was a good show. Like, it was probably the one I used to watch the most at that point, because it was the one that had access to basically everyone. And then he did leave abruptly, and pre-pandemic, but post the last E3, there was that falling out. And part of it was to do with the way they were handling the next E3. He disagreed, and so he departed. Bad blood is bad blood. Like, the ESA, like, they'll survive. Like, and I know it's a shame when people work on something like, for a long time and it gets canned, sort of pretty close to it happening. Like, they'll be okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, ESA is just a general board of games industry CEOs and executives anyway. The ESA is so, like, what does the ESA do for us aside from E3?
Oh, well, they dox 2,000 journalists every now and again.
Right, exactly. So we'll still have the opportunity for that community service to go forward.
Yeah.
Jeremy, 2 rapid-fire questions for you.
Okay.
And you can answer them. Let's answer this one first.
Okay.
Does E3 ever come back? Not as Jeff Keighley mummified corpse.
Not as a
Does
Keighley.
the ESA bring back E3? 2024, 25, 30?
No. I think they will try again. I think they will try one final time, not next year, but the year after.
Okay.
And I think it will not work if Jeff doesn't buy it first.
Yeah. I think if it's ever going to come back successfully, it has to be next year. But the problem is they don't have the convention center booked, right? They're not committing to it.
I mean, like, I don't know how public those things are. Maybe they have.
Maybe,
like-
and then maybe they're just leaving it so they don't get the bad press, I guess. But like, it's the writing is kind of on the wall for E3, because if E3 is going to become this general consumer show around the same time as Summer Games Fest, unfortunately, they've lost so much ground to Keighley at that point, while also losing everything that made them different to Keighley's event, the trade show, that what point is there in going, especially because they demand such a high price for everyone who's involved. I mean, you know, you see that in everyone bowing out year by year in terms of the big players, you know. It's hard to see what E3 would be this year, let alone if it did happen, let alone next year, now that it's not happened for 2 years now in a row.
It is weird to do the math and think that the E3 needs Keighley.
Yeah.
Because that's not a sentence I would say, but also everything I've said leads to that, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
I think what E3 needs is not the ESA.
That's right. I think so, because I think their motivations are a little bit in the wrong place now. They're a little bit too stuck in what they were, and they didn't pivot. They're still struggling to pivot.
Well, like, they tried to, right? They released you know.
Oh yeah, public tickets.
Yeah, they had public tickets like in 2017. Was the first year they had publicly available tickets.
And a bunch of the industry people hated that.
They
were in there.
Like they did, when, you know, like, look at that, like, it's not for them, right? Like, it's not for media as like the prime directive anymore. But like, they were talking to people who were like general admin. Like, how is it? Like, you know, have you been enjoying it? And they're like I remember Harper from I think they were Polygon saying, or Kotaku saying, like, yeah, they spoke to someone who was like, I lined up for like 50 minutes to play Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And they were like, and how was that? And they were like, I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a bunch of them being like, I can't, like, I've bought my E3 ticket. I can't wait to go to the Xbox conference. And I was like, oh, you don't realize that that's like not open. That is invite only.
That's not here.
Yeah.
That was 2 days before your ticket lets you into anywhere.
Yeah. Well, what's your other question?
The other question is, what is your earliest or fondest memory of E3?
You gotta go for a sec while I think for a moment.
Okay, I'll think. My earliest E3 memory, I remember the Assassin's Creed 2 demo, I think, was the one that I remember strongest and quite fondly, honestly. You know, I didn't know anything about the press conferences at that point, but that was the first like demo I saw, and I loved that demo. It's the one in Venice with all of the fireworks going off, and you get in Leonardo's flying machine, and then you infiltrate the compound via Sky and use the smoke bomb. You show the double blade. You see all these new mechanics, because I was so in on Assassin's Creed. And then he uses a smoke bomb and disappears, and that's the end of the 10-minute. Like, those tight E3 demos from around that time were awesome, and that was such a good one. And it was one of my first ones that I remember. A fondest E3 memory? It's tricky. It doesn't get much better than that because for the nostalgia value. But you gotta give props to the 2016 PlayStation press conference. That is such a legendary conference. That was so enjoyable to watch, front to back.
The one with the live orchestra, right?
The live orchestra, the God of War reboot reveal, Spider-Man by Insomniac reveal, Days Gone reveal.
I mean,
well, yeah, but we didn't know it. It was still exciting.
Sure.
The Great Horizon trailer, Death Stranding trailer, Crash Bandicoot was back.
The reveal of The Last Guardian, I think, was in that one as well.
Yeah. Oh, that might have been the year prior, but because it came out that year, I think.
It was 2017 when that.
Oh, okay. Then it probably was the re-reveal. Yeah, it was a huge conference, incredibly entertaining, and it just kind of it didn't miss.
No, it was really solid, pretty much all the way through.
Yeah.
look,
You can pick just one if you want.
so like because I've been quickly going through Wikipedia pages to try and remember what my earliest E3 like thing was.
Yeah.
I don't remember what my, because I've been watching him since 2009, I think.
Yeah, that was when I was. That was when Assassin's Creed 2 came out.
Yeah. Like one of the earliest memories I have was 2011 when they announced Halo 4.
Okay.
That was really exciting because we had no idea what it was at that point. Like it was just like Halo 4 was coming, and I remember like I was not a Halo person up until Reach, and then I became very much a Halo person. And then I was like, oh my god, they're making another one like that, and it was just a CG trailer of Chief fucking going in a 0G through a ship that was getting destroyed,
like waking up from the cryo machine, wasn't it?
Yeah. That was really, really exciting. Probably the best, like my favorite E3 moment is probably the Kingdom Hearts 3 reveal.
Really?
Because it had been such a long time, like a comically long time. It was like when we talk about E3 moments and things that never happened, Kingdom Hearts 3 was up there in terms of things that we'll never see.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts 3 was a Half-Life 3, was there's a few of those. Will we ever see Dead Island 2 again?
Last
Guardians and all. Yeah, right.
It's hard now because we've seen a lot of them.
Yeah, right. A lot of them have started to come out, right? Kingdom Hearts 3 was a joke that was never going to come out, and then they legitimately announced it once at E3 2015. And I remember that week I was doing work placement at high school, and I had 5 days of work placement. And in those 5 days, I was working for a family friend to make him a website for his small business. And I did it in about a day and a half because I knew that E3 was coming very soon. And so I finished my work placement, which is not a thing you're meant to do.
No.
That's not the point of work placement, but I did it. And he paid me in ginger beer, which was good. In some Bundabergs. And so I then had 3 days of like no school. And so I just stayed home and stayed up watching E3.
I was going to say, like, what a scam, but the fact that you only worked for him, like, 30% of the time that you had actually agreed upon, like, seemed actually a fair deal to me.
He thought it was great. He got everything done real easy. And he'd every now and again send me a text saying, oh, can you actually do this? And I'd pop up and do it. And I'd send it back to him saying, hey, I did it. He's like, great, cool, thanks. I'll let you know if there's anything else.
Yeah.
I did development for 2 days and I was on call for 3.
Yeah. And then you had some ginger beers for the E3 conferences.
Then I got a fucking, right. And so I was going through watching E3 and Kingdom Hearts 3 was announced and I freaked out.
Your ginger beer everywhere.
Yeah. I thought I couldn't believe it. It was a legitimately unbelievable thing. Because I expected Kingdom Hearts another one, not actually that one that might have actually never actually came out.
Right. Right. You'd given up hope.
I like called people.
Wow.
Yeah. I picked up my phone and like called people. I was across like a couple of group chats at the same time because people were in class or doing other things. And I was there, like, I was the E3 correspondent because I was the only one not at school who was watching it. And so I was messaging people and like taking low quality screen grabs of like logos and games, like throwing them in, being like, hey, anyone a fan of Drakengard or whatever? And someone's like, yeah, like not Drakengard, but like shit like that. And then someone's like, yeah, me. I'm like, hey, there's another one coming.
Yeah, it's so funny.
And that was also, wait, fuck, was that No, that wasn't 2014. Sorry, that wasn't 2015. That was 2013. Sorry, my bad. Because that was the first year leading into the PlayStation 4. That was the one that had Destiny was there. Yeah. And that was also the same day that Xbox had their entire like press conference where they had Rise Son of Rome and they had a couple of cars for Forza. Yeah, Dead Rising was there. Recall was there, I believe.
Oh, yeah, Recall.
Got so many weird memories of, but like that entire
Scalebound might have been there.
Scalebound, I think, was there. But E3 2013 was like an absolute fucking banger. That was the beginning of The Division. That was Assassin's Creed, not Black Flag, because
no, it would have been Black Flag.
that would have already been announced.
No, they tended to.
Oh, were they
it
doing
would have already been leaked, is what it would have been.
That's what it was.
But they announced them at E3 that year.
It was leaked. That's right. You are correct.
Because they always leak.
Yeah.
Always.
And
leakiest boat on the industry seas.
And it was Battlefield 4.
Yep.
And I'm trying to think of any other like
Ghosts.
Oh, Call of Duty Ghosts. Yeah. Call of Duty. Yeah, because that was the beginning of the dog tech. Yeah, the dog tech.
Yeah.
I got that game on launch.
Nice.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Bad game. Yeah, E3 2013 overall is like just an absolute highlight from day 1 to day 5 or whatever. That was such a
that was
fun.
the one I was interested in that one because of the consoles, but I couldn't afford to pay attention to it because that was like coming into mid-year exams for. I was in year 12 in 2013, so I couldn't really give it the time of day that I would have liked. That came later, I guess. But yeah, Sam in the chat's pointing out this is the Jeremy journalist origin story. It's
actually not. There was so the reason I bring up Halo 4 and the reason I remember Halo 4, this is very tangential, was because I followed on YouTube a guy named Halo 4 follower who for years had no content because Halo 4 was not announced.
Yeah, right.
And then when Halo 4
follower.
And then when Halo 4 came out, he was fucking ripping, like he was, videos on every frame, getting every tiny piece of information that we knew about
Just squeezing that stone
every
dry.
single thing, right? And so I decided to copy him, and I made the YouTube account and everything, and I made Kingdom Hearts 3 follower with complete plans to do everything. I made classic me. I made like the YouTube side banners when that was the thing that you could make. The 2 graphics that went on the edges of the thing. I made an entire graphic that was all the keyblades in like a semicircle pattern that sit on the side. It looked really cool.
Wow.
Made a font. That was when I learned that was when I learned Photoshop and Illustrator, because I wanted to know how to do custom fonts and custom shading inside of a font so I could make my own Kingdom Hearts 3 follower logo in the font of Kingdom Hearts.
That's astounding. How old were you?
Like
14?
Well, 2013, so I was about 15. Oh maybe God. 16.
You spring chicken.
Yeah, and I was trying to write scripts that I had no idea. I had we don't know what we're doing now. Like I had no idea what I was doing back then. I had absolutely zero clue.
I've just thought of one more fond memory,
which
was Bethesda's first conference.
Oh, great one. 2015.
What an excellent conference in 2015 where they announced, showed off 40 minutes of, and revealed the imminent release date of Fallout 4, as well as showed off Doom 2016 and all kinds of stuff, more Dishonored things. That was an amazing conference.
Yeah.
All right, everyone, we're going to throw it to a break, and we'll come back at you with some gaming stuff, Resident Evil, Pokemon Platinum, only the newest and greatest stuff. We'll be right back.
Resident Evil's new.
Yeah. Welcome back to the MiniMapCast. If you're just joining us, you haven't been with us live, I highly recommend you at least visit the video section of the show, because during the break, we were watching the Walmart cam that Jeremy mentioned at the start of the show. And Jeremy decided to leave it running on the show. So it's just sitting on the video. It's just sitting in the corner of our video right now.
Yeah. Yes. And
the joke is that if this thing gets chased off, DMCA struck or whatever, or off the internet, you're doing it twice.
Yeah.
If it gets chased off the internet, that this will be the only way to find it in years to come, because this random gaming stream.
Yes. You never know.
It's very fun. The chat's sitting there. There's been one person that went past, and one person who yelled out, "Welcome!" Oh no, it was morning. That's what it was.
I
And,
missed the one person because I had to go to the bathroom.
and everyone's so excited, and you could hear like copywritten music, and everyone starts typing out the lyrics in the chat. It's very fun. Anyway, that's going to be standing there. That's just going to be in the corner. We probably won't talk about it unless something notable happens.
Yeah.
If something does happen, like someone uses the computer that this computer is streaming from, we will be live crossing to this cam feed. Okay, so we'll promise it'll only be when it's for something worthwhile.
I love the idea that they like. Have you seen Death Note?
No, but I know the premise of the show.
Oh, like there's a specific moment that I'm referencing, which is they're trying to find out where one of the characters is, and the police do that by like localizing pieces of news and information, to certain areas of Japan at the time.
Like surveillance state kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, but it's more like that. Like they understand that Light is going to start acting with the Death Note once he sees someone that is awful, and so they start to broadcast awful people at certain points in the country at different times, so that when something happens and he acts on it, they understand at what point and when they've done it.
Oh, and they like triangulate.
Yeah. It's kind of like I'm imagining this happening with Walmart, where like, you know, like someone is on the phone being like, "All right, all the Walmarts on the East Coast, run over to your computers now, like, and just do like a drive by or like." But I like to imagine it's more high tech than that. It's like someone doing the Walmart music playing like different songs in different stores. It's like, okay, it's a song with Katy Perry on right now. Let's like you know, it's like Guess Who. It's like, all right, knock down all the faces that aren't listening to Katy Perry right now.
Having worked in a massive franchise store,
it's definitely not like that.
No, it's probably still running off a DVD player in the back room.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, maybe they've got like the security camera feeds of all of the like, because we're looking at, it looks like we're in the like all in one like HP desktop aisle.
Yeah.
And I love the idea that they've pulled every Walmart camera feed of aisles like that, and there's one person looking at a conglomeration of all of the cameras. Anyway, that's enough about Walmart. We're going to talk about video games. What do we want to start with, Jeremy?
I want to start with something that I actually forgot to write down, and I was trying to figure out what it was the entire time, and I realized that I realized it in the break what I want to talk about.
Great.
I watched the new Tetris movie.
You did? I didn't know that was out here yet.
Yeah. It's a direct to streaming. Yeah. It's available for you to watch as well, Kerry. It's
the trailer looked great for that movie.
I thought so too.
So it's
not everyone
Taron
did.
Egerton telling, and it's the story of getting Tetris made and put on Game Boy.
Yeah, it's a story of how Tetris was packaged with Game Boy, and also the rights to Tetris as well. It's a tricky game because Tetris actually already exists by the time the story happens, but it is behind the Iron Curtain in Soviet Russia. Not a lot of stuff coming in and out of there between the West, especially things like media and art.
During the Cold War.
And, you know, stuff like, you know, ownership being a very different thing in Soviet Russia compared to in the West, and licensing rights and money not being a thing that they're allowed to do deals with like, you know, outside companies and in different countries, right? There's a lot of ins, a lot of outs with this story. And it's also very like it is dramatized. It is a movie, but there's a lot of truth in it behind who the big players were at that point. A lot of really good casting from especially the guy who was in charge of Nintendo at that point, because he looks dead on identical to the real life counterpart. And it's fun. It's a fun movie. It's not a groundbreaking film. It's not the best video game. It's not the best movie I've seen about video games. But like it's worth watching. It is entertaining. The music is pretty good. They play a bit too much into the pixelization. They do a lot of like changing locations via a screen that is a pixel art version of that location.
Right. It's a
And
bit trite, does it?
a bit. Not enough Tetris blocks for transitions. They do it a little bit, but not enough. Like I think it's an interesting story. I think it's an enjoyable movie. It's like 2 hours. It's not egregiously long.
Did it live up to the excitement that the trailer generated for you?
Yeah, I was like, this looks fun. I'll watch this. This
Nice.
looks interesting.
That's a win in my book.
Yeah, basically, it's like a solid 7.
Hell yeah, that's great. I love a 7.
Yeah.
You know how many hours I put into Destiny?
And yeah, finally, I think the thing that I enjoyed the most was seeing an era of Nintendo that doesn't exist anymore. Like very early on in the movie, the main character heads to Japan because he has a meeting with the head of Nintendo, and it's because he believes he wants to. He believes
like a Tetris evangelist, right?
Yeah, he plays it once, and he has the moment of like, oh my god, I see this. Like I'm seeing the blocks fall in my sleep, which is
the Tetris effect.
The Tetris effect.
Yeah.
And there is truth to that story where like that part is like silly. The part that I enjoyed the most was when he's talking to his wife and they're in their small house in Japan. And she's like, why are you so obsessed with this thing? And he's like, listen. And there's like silence in the house. And he was like, have you ever heard our house as quiet as it is right now? And it's because his 2 children are playing Tetris and they're just like enraptured in the game.
Yeah.
When he goes to Japan, he goes to the Nintendo office. He heads up. He goes to the receptionist and he's like, hey, I've got a meeting. And they're like, yeah, he's not in today. Sorry, like you can't meet him. Like without checking, just like we're not interested.
Yeah.
And like I don't know how fictitious this is or not, but like he sort of like, can I use your bathroom? And they said okay, and he hops in the elevator and goes up and
like muscles in,
and like just sort of like pretend
classic movie plot,
right? Yeah, he pretends his way through the doors. And look, back then, this is pre-Game Boy. Nintendo is a very different company. He then meets with the founder and stuff like that. And part of me is like they would be on him so fucking quickly nowadays.
That's so illegal.
Very illegal, but also like they would be on him. Like Nintendo was so much bigger than what they were back then. They had come out with the NES and the SNES at this point, and in the film he gets shown the Game Boy. And in a closed off room, they get him to sign an.
I feel you're in danger of revealing a lot of this movie.
It's very all this is very very early, but like it is like it's more about like remembering what Nintendo were like and the excitement around Nintendo have made a handheld and this is going to change everything, and that it was
that didn't exist. Really.
Yeah, right. So yeah, it's a good movie. I think it's worth watching. I don't think it's not gonna blow your socks off, but it's an easy movie to watch with dinner.
That's good. That's good because it is cooling down now. My feet are very cold.
You don't want a movie to blow your socks off when it's cold.
No.
You wouldn't want to watch June, Kerry. You wouldn't want to watch June.
You said that, and I thought you meant like the month or like our third co-founder.
No. June.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with June.
Yes, exactly. Now this week we were supposed to be doing the Resident Evil 4 review. Neither of us have finished the game, so we're not doing that this week. And also E3 died.
Yeah.
But Jeremy, what you've played much more than you have. So instead of being halfway through the first chapter, you're now in like chapter 10. I
think I'm for like chapter 13 or something.
Nah, that's the third. That's past the castle.
Okay.
Yeah. So what's up with Resident Evil? Because we'll talk more about it next week when we review it.
Yeah, I'm up to the castle. Ashley.
Yep.
Ashley left and then came back. If you've played the
Yep.
game, you know what that means. This game's real fucking good.
It really just is, isn't
Like
it?
this game's real fucking good. Like I knew that, but like this game's real fucking good.
I think for me, what I enjoy about it the most is the level design.
Yeah,
It's almost Metroidvania kind of feel, you
it's-
know, the exploring and circling back around and coming back again, and
it's got a flow to it. It's got an ease of like I've been trying to put my finger on it, and like the answer is like it's just really well designed. But like there's a feeling of, oh, maybe I should head down this way, and it ends up being the right path.
yeah.
It is very intelligently designed and signposted, which is something that you can lose when translating a game to modern graphic standards. And I think they've done a really good job of keeping it feeling like I decided to go this way and then shit went off, and it's completely directed.
It is, but remember, it's important to remember as well, they have adapted a lot of these levels. The levels are not one-for-one recreations in this remake. They are sort of adaptations of what they once were.
Yeah.
Some of them are very similar, like you'll come across a certain house by the creek in the village section or whatever. I'm sure there was probably catapults throwing stuff at you at the start of the castle section, but they're not the same. So modernizing what those moments were like in the original, but for their new gameplay, plus keeping their newer pacing, their more fast-paced pacing, it's very impressive.
It is, and they've done a really fucking cracking job at it. Like all the levels are really fun and enjoyable. There's not been a part that I'm like, oh, I hated that bit. Like there's parts that I'm like, oh, this is a bit like silly. Like look, this like I've been trying to workshop if I can write about this game, what I'm leaning towards, and my idea that I'm leaning towards is like just how fucking funny this game is. Because the game is like genuinely very funny and knows that it is funny. And is willing to share a joke with you. And the jokes are never at your expense, and more often than not actually at its own expense.
Yes.
Without it feeling like without it being dumb or not like this game commits to itself and
So much.
and it really works because of how well it lands pretty much all of its jokes.
Yeah.
Like even its shithouse, like, you know, one-liners that Leon loves to say, they're fucking funny.
Yeah.
They're so fucking funny because they are dumb action movie things from an era gone by, while also just being like a legitimately stupid, funny quip that he says.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. It's really good. There was one specific thing that happened while I was playing, which I do need to share. I was playing the game on the TV, and my partner was walking by, and I was shooting some of the villagers, and they were running at me with pitchforks and shovels and stuff. And their experience with Resident Evil has been seeing some of 2 and playing through the beginning of 8 before we couldn't keep going because they were getting too motion sickness. And so they understand that there's a lot of various monsters and stuff in Resident Evil. And when these villagers were coming at me, Rebecca was like, oh, is this one like vampires as well? Because they look kind of ghoulish and like they're like, some of them are bald and they've got like
red eyes.
Yeah, red eyes and stuff. And they kind of look like Nosferatu. And they're like, oh, is this one vampires too? And I'm like, no, they're just Europeans. And that made me like laugh to the point of like pausing the game for a little bit because of my funny joke that the villains in Resident Evil are just Europeans.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to share my funny joke that I said.
Yeah, I like that. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
We came across a really nasty monster in one of the later levels. The same kind of took issue with, because it's like the only like gender non-conforming thing in the game. You know, it's like androgynous and misshapen, and it's just a monster, right? And it's like, yeah, no, that's fair enough. And you know, those kinds of things that make you think, yeah, this is a Japan-made video game.
Oh, I mean,
Uh,
it could easily have just been in a Western game as well.
it's a good point. It's a good point.
Yeah.
It's a good point. But yeah, it does have a lot of fun moments. There was one that I was sure was scripted, and then I played through the section again for work and realized it wasn't. But when Sam and I were playing the opening section, like the opening village moment that we spoke about a lot last week, Leon says, "Oh, where's everybody going? Bingo!" And then Resident Evil 4 splashes up on screen, and then it kind of hard cuts back to Leon standing by the burning cross in the middle of the village. And like it cuts, he's standing there, and I just hear like, "Moo!" And Leon just gets fucking tackled from behind by this cow that is burning and on fire. Hits him, he's like, "Wah!" in his over the top way, stands up, and then the cow falls over dead because it's burning alive.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? It was so sudden and out of place. And I thought it was scripted, but no, it's just that the cow in the barn, there's like a lantern in there that you can use to damage the villagers. And somehow, I think the chainsaw guy had dislodged it himself.
Yeah.
Set the cow on fire. I didn't know there was a cow on fire in the place. And it just fucking tackled me as soon as they brought me back into the scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
Completely ridiculous. But yeah, we'll talk about it more next week, but there was something I wanted to say last week that I forgot. I remember what it was. And it was how eerie it is playing this game that came before Resident Evil 8. Having played Resident Evil 8 first and somewhat recently, there is an eerie amount of similarity in so much of the moments of this game between 4 and 8. Like, you've got a lake monster, and you've got the castle, and you've got the village, and you've got the villagers that come at you, and you revisit the village. I mean, because that's a new thing in this one, but like, it's like so similar.
Yeah.
In so many ways.
8 was very much a love letter to 4.
Yeah.
While being its own
also
thing.
being like less than half the length of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, you know, it's also got like, it's a different game. It's a first person game, right? But yeah, it was definitely like, that was always the thing, right? It's literally called Village.
Yeah.
Like 4 is.
And it's back in Europe.
Yes. Yes. Whereas, yeah, 7 was definitely its own thing, like not really a lot like any of the previous Resident Evils, sorry. And like 8 did feel a lot more returned to what it was originally like. I wonder what it would be like if you then went on to play RE8 in third person.
Yeah, that's interesting, actually. I saw some footage of RE8 after playing 4, and I saw how slow it was and how like Ethan is so slow, slower than Leon ever was in the original 4. Like, he's kind of like as slow as you are in the original RE games in like a different way. It's different controls, obviously, but he is so slow.
Like what 7 and 8 weirdly adapted was
PT.
Pardon?
Or PT.
Well, no, but like what they interestingly adapted was the idea that you stop moving and shoot.
Yes,
which is not a hard requirement in those games, but it definitely is a make shoot better by stop moving.
Yeah, which is classic Resident Evil.
Yeah, that is what Resident Evil is. Which is funny because in 4, in this one, they do away with that. Mostly, like, you know, it is easier to aim when you're not moving, but it's not a requirement at all.
No.
Whereas there were plenty of times in RE8 where I was like, actually, let me stop moving and aim and shoot this guy and then keep moving because it's going to be easier than walking and shooting at the same time because it's so much harder to aim.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. Resident Evil is a really fascinating series.
Yeah.
You gonna go back and play 2?
You're not wrong. I really want to get to 5 and 6.
What?
In the same way that I wanted to play Halo 5 to like see for myself whatever I had a problem with.
Play 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Like, I'll do that first.
Good.
If I play anything. But
I don't know if you should bother with 3.
I probably would. Because you can buy them together pretty cheaply these days.
Yeah, but it's like it's not a very good game.
That's what some people say, and other people say it's good.
Yeah.
Did you play it?
I played the demo, and I remember playing the demo of every other Resident Evil going, fucking awesome, great.
Yeah.
And I remember playing the demo of 3 going, I actually don't have any interest in buying this.
Whoa.
Yeah, like that
Anti-demo.
that
Anti-helpful demo.
that demo was very much like, yeah, actually, maybe not this one.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool. We'll talk about that more next week, everybody.
Mm.
What else you got, Jeremy? You've got Jeremy does a sorry here, but you did that at the front, right?
Yeah, I already did that. The last final thing I've got is Marvel Snap.
Is it a new season?
Is the end of a season. End of the Days of Future Past season. The game has done some things that I've really quite liked this season. That I just wanted to talk about that I think is interesting. They've added a new way to get more cards, which is one of the slowest things in the game once you get up to a certain point. In the shop area, each season they will give you one additional card for absolutely free. That changes every 8 hours. So
okay.
Every 8 hours you can check in. There's no pinning or anything because you get it immediately. Of the third series of cards, which is the largest of all of the pools of cards. Any card that comes in, you can just grab it, which is really, really good. Aside from like it hasn't worked for me very well because I'm nearly at the end of this series, and so there's like one card I legitimately want.
And do you get dupes?
Oh, like it'll rotate. It'll duplicate rotates like after a whole rotation has gone by.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like for the past 4, I think I've got 3 or 4 cards left in this pool. For the past 3 rotations, I've had 2 cards going back and forth. Which is like, look, like whatever, like, but also, there's only 16 hours left in the season, and so I'm like, I hope the one I want comes through. Otherwise, I'll just grab one because why would I? Like, I'm not going to let it go to waste.
Sure, okay.
But I think that's a really cool thing because it also allows you to immediately get a potentially game-changing card, for you, without having to play the larger, more monetary focused RNG game.
Right. So like many different people can be a part of the meta just by checking their account.
Yes and no. I'm in an interesting spot where like there's like 2 big cards being Thanos and Shuri. These 2 cards are absolutely wrecking shop at the moment. And it's been quite difficult to play without them. Right. There are counters to them, which I've mostly been playing. And I'm a higher rank than I've ever been. I'm rank 83 out of the maximum 100. Which is quite high. I remember last time I was bragging, I think I was diamond rank. I am over 20 ranks higher than that last time. Which is quite a lot.
Okay.
They've also changed the progression this season, which I think is interesting. There is 10 levels in each. So like in each like I don't know the word, like in each group being like gold, silver, bronze, diamond, blah blah blah.
Tier.
Yeah, tier is a good word. There are 10 levels to get to the next tier, and then inside of each level you need to get 10 cubes to progress to the next level. That being when you win a game, you can get a maximum of 8 cubes if you both snap and then one of you wins. Right? That's how that works. That's how it's always worked.
Why are they cubes?
Because it's like it's cubes because that's the Marvel Snap thing. It's like little cube, like I think they're cosmic cubes, I guess, or I'm not sure. But that's what they are.
It's like learning how to count at Montessori school.
Yeah. So what they've done, which is interesting, is every time you get to a new tier, they also give you 5 whole levels. So you're already halfway to the next tier.
Wow.
Yeah.
And is that like a promotion, a demotion protection thing, so you don't immediately go up and then can't get knocked back down?
So the previous seasons, you've gained 1 whole level on top of that. So the moment you passed 79, you would get to 81.
Yeah.
And then you can fall back into 80 and 79 again if you lose a lot in a row. This they've brought you up to 85.
Wow.
Which is, I think what it does is it allows you to get to play against your people of your rank faster, which I think I think is good. I think it's a good change. It has also meant that the progression has actually felt a lot more enjoyable because I'm making more progress faster. Yeah, because I'm not slogging through like one tier that I'm actually above in terms of my like skill level, but I'm getting really shitty pulls. I'm progressing faster when I'm not winning as fast. Or like I'm not winning as many, but I'm still progressing further because I'm getting to my like I've been struggling in the Omega level in the 80s. I've not like I'm sitting at 83 and I have been for like an entire week now.
Okay. You found your rank basically.
Pretty much. I definitely don't think I'm strong enough to go above these ranks. But it also meant that getting there was appropriately fast.
That does sound good.
Yeah, it's really interesting, right?
I'm immediately thinking of Apex because there are so many and other ranked systems like Rocket League and Counter-Strike. You know, you'll do like placement matches or Overwatch as well, where they analyze your play, your stats, your KD, and whatever.
Yep.
Accuracy. And then they just give you a rank based on those. And then you work up and down from there. But which I think is pretty positive. Apex does this thing where you start at bronze and then you get demoted a couple of whole ranks each season. And the problem with Apex is it is so slow, and it's not as slow if you're better, so get good, I guess. But like, it is so slow that I've never gotten above silver when I know I could. I am confident that I could get above silver. It would take me longer than it would for other people because I'm maybe not that good. But again, I'm pretty confident I can get there. I've not had times where I get to silver and then I'm completely hard stuck.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that it requires so much time. Hours and hours and hours and hours of play each season to get to where you may be. Even if for me it's just gold. For others, it would be that same amount of time or more to get to diamond or plat or fucking masters or whatever. That I would appreciate feeling that sense of progression be a little alleviated in Apex because it keeps me from like I play and we're like, oh, the number will go up. That's great, but there's kind of no world where I play that much Apex in one half of one season because there's a ranked split reset to get to where I think is actually my rank, and it's always really upsetting to the point where I kind of don't care about it anymore because I've never gotten to where I think I actually am.
And every season in Marvel Snap has a reset, but what it does is it brings you down 3 tiers.
Okay.
But
when they're that fast, it's maybe not that much of a issue.
And I think the way they do that is because like new season comes out, new cards come out, new battle pass comes out. That's also
everyone's figuring it out.
That's also when the meta tends to get shaken up a little bit.
Right.
It also makes the season feel fresh. You feel a little bit new. Maybe encourages you to try some new cards. They will buff and nerf accordingly as well. And so when they do that, they bring you down because they need you to build back up. And if your deck is not as good as what it once was, because maybe it was too overpowered, then
they don't want to punish you just for playing during a season that doesn't favor what you were doing before.
Well, they also don't want to reward you by putting you in a rank that maybe you don't deserve this season quite yet.
Right.
You need to make a deck that is more applicable to the current meta, and then play into that, and then try and get back up to where you were, and then further. It's interesting. I think it was a drastic change, bringing you halfway through a tier that you've just entered. Because part of me did feel like, oh, like this feels good, but also like, do I deserve this? Do I not? And then every time I got to the next tier, I was like, realistically, I would have got there just in a lot longer of time. And then in this tier that I'm currently in, like I'm not making it out. Like I got 16 hours. I'm not making 7 levels because the moment I got to 85, I got brought back down to 83 because I got stomped on.
Yeah.
I'm living in where I am right now for this season, and the next season will be something new again. It's interesting.
Yeah. Man, I don't I don't envy the developers having to balance a live service game that is that fast of a turnover. Monthly is intense for new cards, new meta, new mechanics. That is huge.
Look, it is a lot. Like looking at the amount of cards that have been data mined, like they've got a lot on the back burner. They've got a lot sitting in the wing waiting for promotional events.
Good. It's good they've got some runway. That's good.
Because a lot of them are sitting in the game, and so it's been pulled out. Like they've got like something like 25 cards that are just sitting there waiting for things to be tuned or brought in. So yeah.
Cool.
Still a good game.
Good. I mean, I would hope so with you putting that much time into it.
Still playing every single day.
Wow, that is intense, isn't it?
I think I've probably missed a few days here and there, but like I'm still maxing out the battle pass.
Yeah.
Above and beyond. I got a really fucking cool Doctor Doom card. Like really, really cool. The original card for Doctor Doom is pretty sick. That's the original card. Classic Doctor Doom with his green cloak.
Green and purple hues. Yep.
I got the legendary comic book illustrator Alex Ross in his God Doom form.
What's with all the red? Looks like he's jumping out of the Scarlet Rot from Elden Ring.
Kinda, yeah. I think it's a tree in between worlds or something. It's when Doctor Doom is literally a god. Like he has the power of yeah. For keen comic book illustrators, keen comic book fans will know that is one of the few universes that humanity will survive forever. Is when Doctor Doom is in charge, humanity prospers forever under the rule of him. It's interesting. It's an interesting dilemma of if you beat Doctor Doom, you know you are dooming humanity to fail at some point.
Right, but he's such a totalitarian that it's like bad quality of life, something.
I think actually the quality of life is like actually quite good. The thing is, you are still under him no matter what, and so it's
so it's just like an ethical thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is interesting because like I'm like I could be, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure everyone actually does prosper and has medicine and food, like all of this stuff, right? It's like completely good, apart from everybody still serves him. But he is just so steadfast in his decisions that no matter what, humanity will survive in the end under him.
That's funny.
Yeah.
How much do we do here, Jeremy? We're at 1:30, but I'm feeling fine. You know, I feel like the show's going fine.
Yeah, I'm happy to keep it going along for a bit longer.
Let's keep going along for a bit longer. I spoke about this briefly last week, but I have been playing Pokemon Platinum after we did our big Pokemon rating breakdown a couple of weeks ago. I am in love with this game again / for the first time, right? Because like I'm loving parts of this game that I've already played in Diamond and Pearl, and I'm loving the additions they make for Platinum. It's quite deft, the small things they've changed.
Yeah.
Just little bits here and there. Things you'll only notice in one thing every hour or two. And it's only just a little bit. One conversation here.
Yeah.
One character over there, and that's it. But
just a movement of a letterbox, some snow on some trees, right? Like just a little bit more.
But the biggest, drasticest changes I've noticed are the gyms. I'm pretty sure that a lot of them have been very different.
Yeah, they have.
Because I think the one for Fantina in Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl is basically just like, there are 3 doors in this room, pick one. And there's trainers behind 2 of them and the way forward through one of them. And then you do that like 3 times. And like, that's it. It's just pick the door, pick the door, pick the door. In Platinum, it's, hi, you're going into a dark room, but we'll give you a flashlight. All the other trainers have flashlights. So if they see yours, they'll find you. So it's a bit of a hide and seek thing. And then there are a number of doors at the end of the channel with a red panel just in front of them with a little symbol on it. It's a triangle and a square and a circle. And you have to find somewhere in the room a blue panel with the symbol on it. And that will tell you which door to go through. And that randomizes, that changes every time you go in and out. So you have to find it. And then in the next room, there's more doors, more trainers, a bigger room. Or the grass gym there's this big flower clock in the middle of the room that you have to walk on and go between. The fighting gym is you pushing punching bags to like knock over obstacles to like get through. What was the last one I did? The last one I did was the water one, which felt pretty similar to the original with the rising water levels and just walking across different things. And that was fine. That was a decent enough one, I think. But then there's also really interesting conversations. There's this time where your rival becomes the he decides that he's become the water gym's apprentice by himself. The gym leader has not agreed to this.
Yeah.
And there's this brief little moment of like the guy like running around Salacion City and just being like the rival and just being like, hey, why aren't you respecting me as your apprentice? Pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. And the guy's like, what are you doing here? And then it's like, oh, wait, there's a bomb going off in the Safari Zone. Just Team Galactus, go chase after that guy.
Yeah.
Like at one point, your rival says to the gym leader, what am I, chopped liver? I was like, whoa.
It's so interesting they rewrote it, isn't it?
Yeah, it is really fascinating. And they've added the character of Looker that we spoke about last week and Charon, who's one of the galactic things. It seems like they added him. He was only there once at the Valley Windworks. But enjoying these small changes as much as I am, really just little neat, just small ones, enjoying them as much as I do, and knowing the meat of the different content is coming and is much bigger and much grander and much more effective, I'm very much looking forward to getting to Spear Pillar and Mount Coronet and all of the space dimension time stuff that they pull off in Platinum. Yeah, it's been really, really fun. I've been having trouble with my team because I haven't decided on who to run yet. I also needed to mod my ROM to get what I wanted to do. So last week I was telling you that I had a Haunter, I had a Ghastly and a Haunter, and I wanted to keep them with me, but I can't evolve Haunter to Gengar without trading them.
Nope.
And the way I'm running Platinum, I can't trade with anyone. And so I was like, how do I do this? And everyone's like, is there any way to do it? I looked it up online and I was like, nope. I'm like, oh shit. But what you can do, if you go to the Universal Pokemon Randomizer tool, that works for like gens 1 through 5, I think. And you put a ROM in there, and that lets you run a randomizer through it. So you get random whatever. You change all the settings. I only changed one setting, which is to make impossible evolutions possible. And so it means that instead of needing to trade a Magmar with the particular hold item to get fucking the bigger Magmar that they introduced in that generation.
Bigger Magma.
Yeah, bigger Magmar. Magmara.
Yeah.
Instead of needing to trade, now you just need to level that Pokemon up holding that item. And now I got my Gengar earlier today by leveling it up just past a certain point. So it's a bit arbitrary what each of the ones are, but it's good. It gives you the option.
Yeah.
It means I could have a Machoke or an Alakazam if I wanted.
Yeah. As someone who brought a Kadabra to the end of the game, I was like,
yeah.
I just wish it was an Alakazam.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, like it's good. I'm glad I've done that much. I honestly hadn't confirmed whether I'd done it right until I evolved Gengar today.
Right. Yeah.
There'd been no other way for me to figure it out, and that's the lowest evolution threshold.
Yeah.
And so like I just had to wait till I was like level 37, which is a decent way through the game.
Yeah.
But what that's meant is, with me like not choosing my party right, is that I've kind of been splitting out a lot of my experience points. I haven't been focusing it on like 2 or 3 people because I know there's more coming later, which means that I'm like the most at level that I've ever been in this generation of game. So I'm not breezing through with a couple of Pokemon that are like way over leveled. Like my starter isn't even at its 3rd evolution yet. It's close, but and what that means is I'm spending the most amount of time. I feel like I'm playing this Pokemon game the way Game Freak intended people to play Pokemon games when they're not already so familiar with it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'm catching a bunch of the Pokemon, which means I'm getting less experience because you don't get experience for that. You just get the Pokemon. I'm spending just more time with experience share on it. And so it means I'm at 18 hours and I've only got 5 badges. I know there's so much more game left and it's just taking so long, but I'm having a really good time.
Yeah, and 5 badges is when you start to do the end of the story.
Well, yeah, or any of the story really. I mean, yeah, I mean, you see galactic stuff as you go, but yeah, it's when it really starts to pop off.
Yeah,
and they stop like teasing you with little bits here and there. But yeah, man, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to get to the end of the game and get some of the legendaries and
yeah,
it's all very good.
Oh, and you're gonna be able to do all the events.
I am going to be able to do all the events.
Oh, I'm jealous
with the cheats.
I remember doing all those. They were really cool.
Oh, did you do them legit?
No. I did them illegit.
Illegit, yes.
After the fact.
Yeah, I am excited for that. I also accidentally just downloaded an Arceus.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, you said
they just gave me a level 100 Arceus because I accidentally turned that cheat on. I was like, whoops.
That's funny.
So he went straight in my box. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the game. It's got such a special soundtrack.
Yeah,
and it's so well made. The visuals are great. I'm absolutely loving it. And I had the weird feeling of playing Arceus today to test out my repair of my Joy-Con that I did yesterday, and going back to that after having a reignited, stronger familiarity for that generation than I got for Brilliant Diamond is awesome. The notes to the music, I think the music orchestration in that game is fucking top notch. Such great references while also being true to that older, more traditional Japanese style that they have going throughout the whole game. It feels so cohesive and so enjoyable. Yeah, as an Arceus fan, I'm enjoying Arceus more, having played Platinum more.
Right.
What do you reckon, Jeremy? Should we end it there, or?
Yeah, I reckon.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week, everybody. Let us know if you were tempted to play any Pokemon games after we did our Pokemon ranking, because I sure was. I'd be interested to hear that from you if you were. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week. I know I said this last week, but we'll be back next week with our Resident Evil 4 review.
And maybe more Walmart cam, depending on how it goes.
More Walmart cam. Nothing has happened. We've been watching. I don't think even a single person has walked past.
No, not yet. I've been looking.
So, we'll stick around in the post show. We are going to be watching more of the Walmart cam because it's bizarrely engrossing. And it's only, must be 7 a.m.
Every now and again, Kerry, I think about The Truman Show because I think it's a really great movie.
Great movie, great concept. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think about that show a lot. And I think about stuff in our current capitalistic hellscape. I think about...
that movie just makes me think of Year 9 English.
Well, yeah, same, but I watched that movie before I just studied in English, so I just genuinely really like it.
Yeah. I had to watch it across 3 classes.
Yeah, and so
you go to your art class and then you watch it the next day.
So does everyone that I spoke to. Oh, someone just walked past. Someone
just walked past.
This is what I mean. So I think about that movie quite a lot, and about how, the immediate reaction is oh, I would not watch The Truman Show. Right.
Right.
I would,
as a show.
Yeah. If it was real, I would not. I am better. And then you think about it and you would definitely watch it. You fuck.
Yeah.
You definitely would watch it.
I reckon it's the kind of thing that my parents would watch, and then you'd watch it as you were growing up. But
that's what happened in the movie, right? There were people who grew up with Truman because he was on air for 28 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And there have been things not dissimilar to The Truman Show.
Big Brother.
Well, yeah, Big Brother the show, but even things there was a website that I used to visit called I've still got the bookmark somewhere in my bookmark mods, but it's definitely like the website doesn't work anymore. Let'sRobot.tv, which was a website where you could watch robots that people had set up in their own homes, specifically that they had set up.
Yeah.
And you could control the robots via web commands and drive them around little pens they had made.
How long ago was this?
Oh, 2017.
Yeah, okay. Because I feel like I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, like
it goes in line with that, like, I enabled chat to interact with my Christmas lights kind of a thing.
But this was around for quite a while before that, and was definitely just like a hobbyist thing that never really picked up. And it was cool because I remember driving around someone's house via the remote control car that they had set up in their house, and like playing with their cat. And it was like, that was so fucking cool. I was just I could just do that in their house. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And definitely really like strange and odd. But that could just be a thing that exists. You would definitely watch The Truman Show. You would watch The Truman Show.
I don't think I would.
You would.
Honestly, I don't think I would. I think I'd feel really weird. Knowing that the person inside doesn't know, man, I couldn't do it.
You think you wouldn't, but you would. There would be things like you would tune in for the 21st birthday, the funeral, like, the death of the father.
No,
it's
man,
all
it's too icky. It's too icky.
That's the point.
It's too ethically foul.
That's the point. You would still watch it.
No, because I'm saying it's too much for me. It's past the point of like morbid curiosity. It's just bad.
It is bad.
I'd be Uma Thurman.
Right.
Sending in letters, holding placards.
I love the flashback scenes in that movie when it's still the actors who are like in their current age, which is like early 30s.
Yeah.
And they're meant to play like 19-year-olds.
Oh, right.
And they put like...
when it's the literal Earth actors.
Yeah. And like they have to like... And so they put like backwards hat and like... And, baggy shirt on on 35-year-old male.
Yeah. On midlife crisis man that they hired to play a man pretending to be a midlife crisis man.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, with that Truman tangent out of the way, if you want to be around for the next Truman Show tangent on the MiniMapCast, be sure to follow us on all of our socials. That's at MiniMapAU. You can follow us individually as well. We're on Twitter. You can find Jeremy on Twitter. Where, Jeremy?
At The Truman Show.
Okay, yep. And you can find me at KJPalmer_24. If you don't like Twitter, I don't blame you. I don't know if I'm going to last that much longer on Twitter, honestly, but until something else comes around, they really make it awful to use.
I believe there's a comedian named Bill Oakley. Has changed his Twitter profile picture and name and bio and everything to the New York Times because he currently has a blue check mark, whereas the New York Times does not. Things are going funny. Well over there on the marketplace of ideas.
That's very, very funny.
Yep.
Also, you can head to minimap.com.au for absolutely anything else Minimap related, including the Minidisc podcast and the latest article we just published, like Jeremy's Dredge review. For those of you live with us on Twitch, stick around. The Walmart cam is about to go full screen on our stream so we can watch it all together. For those of you listening later, make sure to give us those oh-so-tasty 5-star ratings. It helps out a lot. And consider joining us next week for the live show. There might even be a Walmart cam. No promises, though. Lastly, if you wanted, you could also support us on Patreon if you want to help keep the lights and mics on. You can do that by heading on over to patreon.com/minimapau. And for $5 you'll get 24 hours of early access for all episodes of the MiniMapCast, as well as some more benefits, all while helping us out greatly. We're going to go now. I'm going to play more Pokemon this week. We're going to play more Resident Evil, and we'll be back with our Resident Evil 4 review next week.
I'm going to play
Walmart Cam, everyone.
I'm going to play Walmart.